Welcome to What's the Scenario with PLRB, where we explore claims and coverage scenarios relevant to insurance professionals. I'm Brennan McLaughlin, Education Counsel at PLRB, and today I'll be joined by Mike Brennan, VP of Meetings and Education at PLRB.
Yay.
So, what's the scenario?
Oh, what is the scenario, Brennan?
So, a terrific water loss. Storm coming in, maybe a named storm, water everywhere, maybe coming up to a foot in your house. Everything is looking destroyed, and your neighbors are all experiencing this, and you've got some contractors coming in saying, let's just dry it in place. I think that'll be good enough.
Sure.
Let's just dry it in place.
Couple fans.
That's a little bit of this scenario or scenario based on something taken from Courtney Makris' recent presentation. When the storm hits home, Courtney's personal journey through Hurricane Helene, and that was a PLRB Presents presentation at the 2026 Claims Conference.
Yes.
And she covered how that experience went for her. But today I thought we'd dive into the coverage issues behind that, or more specifically, category and class, and how those, not necessarily coverage, but those standards, how those standards can impact the decision-making about water mitigation.
We're talking like economic, eco status, upper class, middle class, lower class. What are we talking about with this stuff?
How we get into the status there, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see.
We'll see. But yeah, for our deck page, let's head into that.
Yeah, we've been doing a bunch of places, I think, on the deck page, Brennan. So I would like to mix it up. Can we do a people, the deck page?
Yes. I just mentioned Courtney Makris did that fantastic presentation.
At what?
What's that?
At what?
At the 2026
yes.
PLRB Claims Conference,
Be fabulous,
course.
Yes.
And we had some awesome presentations there. That's PLRB Presents. It's kind of like a sort of a high profile, very polished presentations that come in.
Kind of like our PLRB version of like a headish talk kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Really fantastic talks. We had a lot of great speakers. And this one, is just a really good example of someone's telling their personal story. Right. With Paul Davis. But we had a lot of fantastic speakers. I can't mention them all. We had Buster the Adjuster.
No, there's one to remember.
We had Chelsea Bell Carpenter. We had Cassandra Hain Gallegos. We had Jeremy Stoker.
Yes, his brother. Yes.
We had just a lot of fantastic speakers.
Where were we? Well, I'm so distracted by PLRB Presents, I don't remember what the heck we were talking about.
Let's dive into the scenario.
All right, let's do that.
And we'll be basing this scenario actually on a section from the PLRB PACE program, which we've talked about and which is coming up very soon. But the PACE program is PLRB's certificate and designation program for both newer and experienced adjusters interested in a overview of claims, including all the way from coverage to investigation, and really getting into the practicalities of how you handle a claim.
And could you find something on water losses in this fabulous PACE program, Brennan?
Absolutely.
Oh, it's one of our most popular perils.
Yeah, popular
perils.
We'll have to have a whole section on that. Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, we kind of do, because this is under the personalized property track and more P words. And we have a section for common losses, and one of those sections is water and wind losses. So we really dive into it with lessons on
diving into water. There you go. That's a good one right there.
Coverage issues and exclusions, pipe breaks and tear out costs, backups versus overflows, verification of windstorms, windows and wind-driven rain, psychrometry and drying methodologies, and of course categories and class. And that's what we'll be going into today. So I'll share some as we go through and talk about this interesting visuals in this section. I'll share some of those as well.
Perfect.
But yeah, we were diving into these categories and classes of water. You've got water in your home. not all water is created equally. It's
Good point.
going to have different impacts on your home. So what's your familiarity with the different categories of water?
A little bit. Now, I know you're going to have like water sometimes that might have like a burst pipe in your home. So say it was fresh, clean drinking water, right? I mean, that's going to be different than like in Courtney's case. I'm sure it was floodwaters from a hurricane that might be coming into your home. So storm driven water isn't whatever you do to make water drinkable or potable, whatever that word is. So there's going to be a difference right there, right? And water that comes out of a faucet is going to be different than water that comes out of your toilet. Stuff like that, right? Maybe.
For sure. Right. And let's dive into how those. I keep
you got to quit with the diving, right? Let's dig further into this.
Dig further into these categories. Right. So, category 1 water, again, like you're saying, it originates from a sanitary water source.
There you go.
Does not pose substantial risk if ingested or inhaled. Category 2 water contains significant contamination. So, lower numbers is better for contact with humans. Right. Category 2, you're bumping up to significant contamination, potential to cause sickness, can contain potentially unsafe levels of microorganisms or nutrients for microorganisms, organic and inorganic matter. In category 3 is grossly contaminated and can contain pathogenic, toxigenic, or other harmful agents.
Oh my goodness.
And cause significant adverse reactions to humans if contacted or consumed. So here's where we get into a little bit of a game.
Oh.
And I can show a visual
You know how
here.
much I love these games, Brennan.
Yeah. So
whole reason I drove all the way to Indiana just to play these games.
Exactly. So here we've got another visual, another clickable image.
All right.
And we'll just go through some of these.
All right.
And the audience will know, but maybe you won't.
I won't. I can't see. I'm in this
do you think?
secured room where I can't see anything on your computer screen.
So the game show is behind the screen.
Right.
So discharge from dishwashers. Where would you put that?
Dishwashers, there are to clean. Oh, I would say it matters what. Is it the intake pipe or is it the dirty water clean to my dishes pipe? So if it's the water coming into said dishwasher, I would give that a category 1. That's me. That stuff going out of your dishwater, I would say that's a 2 on mine. Because it probably got some crispy food particles that still might be okay to eat. It's me. I'm cheap. So I might filter through there, but I'm sorry. I would not do that. We'll quit that. But yeah, I'm thinking that might be the difference. So I'm going to go with a 1 and a 2. How's that?
That is the absolute correct answer.
Yes.
You nailed it. So if you've got a broken water supply line, so that's where, and I think I talked about this maybe last time, in our program, we get into, and this isn't always foolproof, but different intake supply lines and output lines can look differently.
Yep.
So we kind of cover the visuals of what those can look like. Of course, you're going to want to look at how they're all plugged in.
Right.
That's not necessarily the be all end all, but it's pretty common to have a supply line and an output look differently. Like a lot of the outgoing lines will be made from PVC, be a little bit wider. Intake will often made from
sometimes copper. That still could be PVC too.
Smaller, depends.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do want to emphasize, Brendan, that PLRB is not recommended that people filter out the discharge pipe dishwasher and eat the food scraps. Now that was a joke, people. So yeah, don't do that. That's probably not a good idea.
And we're not recommending that as a standard for what you decide to eat. And we're also not recommending we'll cover IICRC, which is the big long acronym for
something.
The standard setting organization.
All right.
International. I'll put it on the screen.
Something.
Something. We've covered it before.
Right.
But these they promulgate some standards on this that experts follow. But we're not really a standard setting organization.
Right.
But we're talking about them because they're things that matter to our members. But like I was saying, those broken water supply lines, if it's coming into a dishwasher, coming into a washer, coming into a refrigerator, that's going to be more often than not your sanitized water.
Right.
But going out of a dishwasher, that's going to have touched some stuff and not be as clean.
Correct.
And I'm sure I
And
don't need
soapy
to cover.
too.
Yeah, I don't need to cover the water, the discharge from washing machines either.
That's similar.
Same sort of thing. How about falling rainwater?
This is one that I know got into some discussion. See, Mike Broad and my simple man approach, I would say category 2 because I've watched Bear Grylls out in the environment. He would drink rainwater, no problem. He's going to say there's no pathogens in there. I can drink that rainwater. And then I had one smart gentleman come up to me and say, well, what if that rainwater like filtered through your roof, got through an opening somehow because your shingle got up and it kind of goes through some of the stuff that's there, like the tar paper and whatever else is under there. I don't know. I'm a casualty guy. Works its way through the wood. That kind of drops. It's still rainwater, but now it's gone through all this other stuff. So would that make it like a category 2 or 3? And I'd certainly say at least a 2. So I don't know, Brennan. 2. I don't know. 2, 3, 3, 2.
Sure.
What's the difference? 2.5.
That
We'll go with
can
2.5.
get really tricky
2.25.
because I think if you're in theory looking at falling rainwater, melting ice and snow, those are pretty clearly category 1 because unless there's some kind of acid rain situation, they're sanitary. But you start talking about the practicalities of what has that water touched?
Right.
And you get into those questions. So it's a very good point.
Or how long has it been sitting around? That rain fell last week. Now all of a sudden it's been sitting around microorganisms, and it could be nasty. So there you go.
The time matters as well for sure.
So this one isn't as clear cut as our last game. This one's a little more fun. I like it.
Getting into the classes as well.
Right.
But let's think about how about floodwaters and rising water from rivers and streams.
Right.
I mean,
fish live in it.
They're fine.
Right. Crawdads and all sorts of little critters out there living in that water. So it's got to be fine. What could happen?
Mike, I appreciate you playing these. You get them wrong on purpose sometimes, make it a little bit fun.
Yes, that's it, Brennan. I got it wrong on purpose.
But the floodwater, I think maybe in media or whatever, you might see people walking through it.
Right.
You might see people touching it.
Right.
But really, it can be really, really unsanitary, really dangerous. It's almost automatically a category 3.
All right.
Because
if it's been sitting around for a while, right? Yeah, and it knows out of the ground what's leached up into it. So it could be nasty.
Let's cover one more.
All right.
Toilet tank.
Aha.
Just the toilet tank itself, the top of the toilet. What do you think?
Is this one of those toilet tanks that's covered with the carpet or not? Because that makes a big difference in my mind if you go to our past episodes.
I think if it's covered with a carpet, that makes it gross.
No, that makes it perfectly sanitary because it's perfectly protected. Well, if it's in the upper tank now, as a kid, I used to dip in there all the time. It was nice and cool and refreshing. My dog drinks out of that toilet all the time. It's got to be fine. Brennan?
All right. Well, how about liquid overflows from the toilet bowl itself? Now okay, so we were talking about the top of the tank.
Might be all right.
Now we're talking about the bowl and your dog.
Dog's gut system are healthier than us humans mostly, so I think, so I won't go category 1 there. I think I'll at least say, it matters what's, without getting too graphically gross for our listeners, because we don't want to do that. It matters what's in that bowl.
We're going to number 1.
All right.
Is in there. And that's going to make it a category 2. Like
here, yes.
Yeah.
Hey, that's funny. Number 1, category 2.
Number 1, category 2. And guess what? If there's number 2,
you'd be a 3.
If there's a waistline backflow that originates from beyond the trap, regardless of the content, regardless of the color, if it's coming up sewer line, that's not good.
No bueno. Yes.
That's got to be a category 3.
Yes. Yeah. So 2 is 3. 1 is 2 and 2 is 3. All right,
1 is 2 is 2 is 3. So let's head into the classes. So what is your it's someone coming from the casualty more often. What is your impression of what's going on with the classes?
Well, what's going on is it appears that those in the upper 1%, the billionaires, are getting even more and more money, is what I'm hearing all the time. Right? Is that what we're talking about?
That might be a different podcast.
Oh, okay.
We'll have to switch to that.
We don't want to make political commentary on PLRB. No, yeah, I don't know. What's the difference between classes and categories? I don't know, Brad.
Yeah.
Help me. I don't
Well,
understand.
the categories we're talking about the quality of the water
Okay.
and the contaminants in it. The classes we're getting into estimated evaporation.
Oh,
So we're getting into the amount of wet surface area in conjunction with the permeance and the porosity of affected materials. So permeance being, I think, both of them are really getting into how deep is it sinking into the
okay.
materials,
Got it.
and
And is
how
it, can
wide
it
is
be
it?
absorbed? Can it
Yeah,
not be absorbed? Okay.
you can
I think
have
I'm with you.
a single drop of a category 3 water, and you can have a big giant spill of a supply line that was coming into a thing, and it's just two different axes, two different ways to think about it. So they really are different.
Okay.
You could have a category 1 loss could be a really big problem if it's really sinking
If
in
it gets into
to the
something where it
material.
absorbs and
Yeah.
you never know what leaches out of that stuff. All right. That
Yeah,
makes
there you
sense
go.
to me. All right. I'm with it.
So the first three classes involve minimal absorption into low evaporation materials, and we'll get into exactly what that is.
Okay.
Class 1 is when the surface area is made up of a low percentage of wet porous materials. Class 2, I've got a little graphic here. Surface area is made of higher percentage of wet porous
All
materials.
right.
Class 3, more than 40% of wet porous materials, but still minimal absorption into these special area of low evaporation materials. Class 4,
Oh,
going
geez, oh,
above
Pete.
that,
How many classes
going
are we
above
getting
the
at?
3, class 4 is actually calculated really differently. Significant amount of water absorption into low evaporation materials, and drying may require special materials.
Oh.
So I'll put a visual up of the breakdown here because it gets a little bit complex. Class
Right.
1, 2, and 3, water intrusion, where wet porous materials represent less than 5%, 5 to 40, more than 40% of the combined floor, wall, and
Oh
ceiling
my
area and
goodness.
space. And where these special low evaporation materials have absorbed minimal moisture.
Okay.
And then class 4, you
Is where
forget.
those rapids are really going crazy and it's hard to get your kayak down them, right?
Well, I'll tell you what they are.
Oh,
They
what?
are plaster, wood,
Oh,
concrete,
right.
masonry. A low evaporation assembly might be multi-layer wallboard, multi-layer subfloors. So something like a laminate flooring,
All right.
right? If you spill some water on that,
You got
that's
time.
what's the
Clean it
cleanup
up.
involved
Right.
there?
Wet dry back,
Sure.
bounty,
If you've got
tissue.
oak flooring
All right.
and you've got water that really sinks in there,
Might be a little more
you're gonna have a problem.
problematic. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where class 4 is you're not even looking at those what percentage of the surface area is wet. You're jumping right to class 4 if you've got a significant amount of water absorption into those specific materials, because those specific materials are gonna need additional
More
work.
remediation. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Like the carpeted toilet bowl.
Yeah.
Is that in there?
Take that carpet off and wipe it up. Yeah. So let's get into the implications for the amount of work involved, because that's really where we're coming back to this.
Right.
You can get some contractors out there talk about it can just kind of dry in place.
A couple fans and wet vac. I'm good to go. That's the Mike Broad method.
And on the other end, if there's other incentives or other just kind of approaches, you can have folks who might recommend a ton of materials and equipment for a loss that, wait a minute, this is sanitary water and there's not wood involved.
Right.
So for an adjuster to understand these classes and these standards that these experts are working off of, it can help you have that conversation. So category 1 water, that's what can be mitigated by in-place drying, top-down drying, and porous materials can be saved and dry without antimicrobials and stuff like that.
Right.
Sanitary water coming in.
Makes sense.
Category 2, you're gonna might lose some of those porous materials, might lose the carpet.
Okay.
But your structural materials will probably be fine. And then category 3, this is where you're looking at that drywall, insulation. You might need respirators.
Might have to remove it. Yeah, you might. Yeah, you could have some mold stuff going on.
That's where you're going to have that 3-foot line
of
drywall that's cut out. And I'll put up a table here. We have too of, hey, how much, you start thinking about based on the class, how much water has to be removed per day, and how closely must air movers be placed. And I'll show a little bit of a visual of the next section. I know, Mike.
You can't do that. That's awesome.
But just we have some visuals of the tools that are involved in cleaning, and especially when you think about some of the interesting ones that I saw looking through these was when they, have got a wood floor, and they actually have to kind of tape down parts of it and have it really kind of sealed off and have the vacuums really working to
dehumidifiers, and that's
almost like a grid of movement to really get the water out of these floors. It just depends on the category and class, and so that's why we're hoping to get people conversant in talking about these so they can have those conversations.
You can talk intelligently with your restoration contractors.
Exactly.
Yes, that's excellent.
All right, so let's head into those 3 key takeaways.
Ooh, I can't wait.
All right. For your first takeaway, category of water broadly refers to its level of contamination.
All right.
Second key takeaway, the class of water broadly refers to the amount of wet surface area and how deeply the water sunk into those materials.
Okay.
And third key takeaway is this matters because, how you're going to mitigate depends on what material has been impacted and how contaminated that water is. And it's a calculation that goes into that. And if you're familiar with the terms and the jargon, you can get into those conversations.
Right. Who knew this would be such a fabulously wonderful conversation, right? Jeez.
Yeah. Really interesting
it is.
Stuff, and stuff that unfortunately a lot of us will have to learn at some point. We'll all have a lot of people have water.
There's water in your life. Yes, it happens. It happens.
So, where can you go to learn more? I will share the link to, we talked about the PACE program.
Yes.
I'll share the link to sign up for updates on that.
Perfect.
We talked about Courtney Makris's PLRB Presents presentation. I'll share the link to that. And I'll share those links in the show notes. And you'll also find a recap of the key points from this episode and links to our social media.
Fabulous.
Don't forget to subscribe and rate us. And
5 stars.
Give us a call at 630-509-8704 and leave a voicemail to share your adjuster story.
Right. It could even be about water, right?
Yeah.
Yes, come on, water, wind, bring it on. We'll talk about it here at PLRB. What's the scenario? Come on with PLRB.
All right, we'll see you next time.
All right, can't wait. Bye, everybody.
Bye. The views and opinions expressed in this resource are those of the individual speaker and not necessarily those of the Property and Liability Resource Bureau, its membership, or any organization with which the presenter is employed or affiliated. The information, ideas, and opinions are presented as information only and not as legal advice or offers of representation. Individual policy language and state laws vary, and listeners should rely on guidance from their companies and counsel as appropriate.